Welcome back to the Broadbeach Bowls Club on the sunny Gold Coast as we get ready for our second match we're bringing you between the New Zealand men's 4 and Australia Green in the final round of men's 4's round robin, a game which will decide whether New Zealand makes it through to the semi-finals. And later this afternoon at 5:45 New Zealand time, make sure you stay with us for the women's pairs semi-final. Taylor Bruce and Joe Edwards of New Zealand up against a yet-to-be-determined opponent. At the same time, on the green behind us, they will be playing Australia Gold in the final round of the women's pairs. But the New Zealand men's 4 is our feature right now. They've just been going through their final trial ends. Gary Lawson, skip of this 4. Ellie Forsyth playing in number 3. Number 2 is Jamie Hill. And their lead is Chris Lalive, who is making his debut for New Zealand this week. Came blackjack number 112 on Monday when he made his debut in the opening round of the men's triples. He's through to the men's triples finals, now trying to get through to the semi-finals of the men's 4s. A game they must win here against Australia Green if they are to make it through to the semi-finals. I'm Brenton Van Nistelrooy. I'm joined by Kevin Hickland. And Kevin, there are quite a few scenarios to work through because currently the New Zealand men's 4 sit in 5th place going into the final round, equal on points with 4th place Ireland and only one shot behind them in differential.
Yes, Brendan, as we go into this game, very important match. Of course, New Zealand must win it. That's the first thing, of course. And then it may come down to that differential between Ireland and New Zealand. Of course, Ireland also playing one of the Australian combinations out here in front of us. So a big game for both of the Irish side and New Zealand. The Australian sides, of course, they're through, both Australian sides. So a good performance here required by our New Zealand side. And to be fair, Brendan, I thought yesterday afternoon on the more challenging green, the slower green against Ireland behind us here, I thought the New Zealand side played pretty well, but then capped off by that fine bowl from Gary Lawson when he was 3 down on the last end and drew the shot to make sure that New Zealand had a chance still to make their way through to the semi-finals. So all to play for, and talking to the team beforehand, they are certainly all up for it. And it's nice to see Chris Lalive's parents. A surprise for him. They arrived here about half an hour ago, and they've flown over from NZ, and they're here to watch their boy play. And just on that, there's a really interesting note about Chris Lalive. You know, at age 16, he was told that he was unlikely that he would live the night. He got a meningococcal disease, and then was told that he would never walk again. And started playing bowls at Howard College. He was a very good first 5'8", in fact, played first 15 rugby. And fought his way back playing bowls with a walking stick in the secondary school bowls. The church had to learn to walk again. And here he is now making his debut for New Zealand. So great to see, great story, that Chris Lalive's story as you watch him now just draw the shot, sitting right alongside the jack on this first end with his second bowl. And that's the confidence booster that you want to Brendan, in games like this.
Yeah, right on cue, Chris Lalive. Yes, talking about the New Zealand lead, and he delivers a great start for Lawson's 4. And there actually is a scenario New Zealand could actually lose this and still make it through to the semi-finals. If they lose by fewer shots than Ireland lose by. That's if Ireland, of course, lose. They're playing against Australia Yellow right next door, so New Zealand will be able to keep tabs on what the situation is there. So Chris Lalive winning the battle of the leads against Barry Lester. Lester leading off for Australia Green. Corey Wedlock, their number 2. Aaron Tees, the very well-performed Aaron Tees, and Aaron Wilson is their skip. So a very strong Australian quartet. Currently 3rd in the standings, but have already sealed a semi-final berth with 4 wins and 2 losses, while the New Zealand men's 4, 2 wins, 3 losses and a draw. They lost those 3 games in their first 4 outings, so they've really been playing playoff bowls from the last couple of rounds. And continuing now is Jamie Hill with his second, the number 2 for New Zealand, playing on the forehand side, looking to draw just in front of his first bolt. Gary Lawson is liking the look of this. It's going to sit in between or just on that Australian bowl of Wedlock, who's back on the mat quickly.
Very quick player is Corey Wedlock, and sort of like the English flag type coloured bowls, the red, the white and the blue. And New Zealand holding the shot on this first end. This is a very good Australian side, make no error about that. Barry Lester, Corey Wedlock, Aaron Tees and Aaron Wilson, and I'd imagine would certainly be leading contenders when that the World Championship side is announced, that they will be in contention. Of course, we'll be up against them as well during the Trans-Tasman. As you watch now, Ali Forsyth playing his first bowl on the first end. Gary Lawson looking at this bowl of Forsyth as it breaks down towards the head. He's going to have a yard of weight on it, sit him behind the head. He'll be more than happy with that. That's a good spot there. So New Zealand sit in a good position on this, the first end, and just the draw there on that forehand, just maybe a wee bit challenging, Brendan, for Australia with that front bowl out in front. They've certainly got to get some very late draw to get to the shot bowl. As we watch this bowl of Aaron Tees, it's breaking down towards the head now. He's going to prove me wrong straight away and draws a toucher, does Tees, but...
Yeah, just an example of the quality of Aaron Tees there, Kevin. Very, very good young player. Massive future ahead of him, and not just his future, he's the present as well of the Australian Jackaroos. And now Ali Forsyth, who's been battling a bit of a back injury, was actually almost removed from the side to play Ireland because of his back complaints, but decided that he was good enough to play on. Had a couple of painkillers on his back.
Well, I think the comment was very good, Brendan. You had a chat with Gary Lawson yesterday after that game, and the boys and the team had said to Ali Forsyth, look, we want you out there, we need you in the team. Take a couple of painkillers and let's go from there. And talking to Ali, in fact, before the game, he was actually feeling A-OK. He said, I'm good, I'm ready to go. So, as we see now, Forsyth trying to get down to this, just obscured a bit by Gary Lawson at present. And he's rested the bowl out, in fact. It would appear it's opened the door anyway for Forsyth to get down there on that backhand side where New Zealand have got a couple of bowls sitting in behind the head. So we'll see now what Aaron Tees from Rarilla. He's on the hunt straight away, playing for that New Zealand bowl, and he's just going to go past it.
Yeah, well, that tells you that black bowl of Chris Lalive is the shot bowl.
And of course, what Australia are endeavouring to play, if you look at the replay of that, as it breaks down towards the head and just dips under the shot bowl he was going for. Of course, contact on that bowl was certainly advantageous to Australia because they had a couple hanging around. So Lawson will be trying, New Zealand skip, certainly endeavouring to get another one close to the head for sure. And he's on the mat. 13 times New Zealand national champion, world champion as well. Single pairs and fours back in 2008. As he's going for the spot by the looks of it from here, Brendan, with this first bowl of his, knowing that more than likely we're going to see Aaron Wilson play with reaching weight up under the head, trying to get to the shot bowl or the jack. Barry Lester, he's down on his hands and knees watching as it gets to the jack, bounces all around the place. And definitely, I'd say 1 to Australia. Gary Lawson coming up to have a look.
Well, certainly one there.
One.
And maybe that
Three.
Wedlock bowl, which is the green, white and red bowl.
Just remember this Jamie Hill bowl out here beats one of those. If not, we could be looking at 3 down on the first end after that. So Lawson looks as though he's going to endeavour to play on the draw. And, of course, up against this Australian combination, Brenton, we've got to expect that. That's the way they play the game. They certainly...
Yeah, and there's also just off screen as well, below the shot here, there's a Gary Lawson bowl as well. So maybe, there's first bowl is the deep one, and we can see from looking at the naked eye that it is in the picture. But no, that's not in shot. So there we go. There's
there
a confirmation of that.
Yeah. So Lawson now playing his second bowl. This is the first end. Breaking down towards the head. How far is it going to come back? Is it going to come back enough? No, it's not. Certainly
That's
had
into the ditch. Unfortunate there. So I'll be dropping a number here. And with Aaron Wilson on the mat for Australia, he's quickly to his work. Doesn't muck around.
Certainly doesn't.
Chance to add to the count.
Looks on a good line to here, Brenton. This breaking down towards the head. This is going to... How far is it going to go? It's going to go too far. Take two
One,
out.
Two. So those are the first bowls we thought. Now they're going to measure the Jamie Hill bowl. And Aaron Tees is doing the honours just to the right screen. Obstructed by Tees at the moment. And then he'll go to the bowl of Wilson. Interesting to see what this is going to be. It's certainly two for Australia. Is it a third? And we'll wait and see when the score is moved over by Jamie Hill doing the honours on the scoreboard.
Certainly was seen very early on, Brendan, as to expect playing against Australia, that they play with extreme confidence and certainly ready to attack straight away, which they duly did. And the scoreboard hasn't gone up.
Jamie Hill at the moment just obstructing it, so we can't see if it was two or three. Certainly was at least two. I would have favoured Jamie Hill's as the third, but we'll have that for you as soon as Mr. Hill does move away from the scoreboard. And now it's obstructed by Ali Forsyth.
Now they're both there now. So we see this first bowl of Barry Lester, the Australian player.
Three confirmed. 3 to Australia on the first end of 18.
So Barry Lester draws just alongside the jack. Very good opening bowl by the experienced international player, about to move to Burleigh Heads as the bowls coordinator just down the road here, a few miles down the road to Burleigh Heads as the bowls coordinator there as we watch this first bowl of Crystal Lees break down towards the head now. Gary Lawson looking at this bowl now as it breaks in towards the head, going to sit right in behind, falls in, be close to shot, but only about a few centimetres away. Good opening bowl by Lalive. Up to New Zealand, dropped that 3 on that first end when Aaron Wilson got movement on the jack, and it will quickly highlight, Brendan, as we spoke about, playing against a team like Australia, you've got to have bowls over the head. Short bowls are just you'll pay dearly.
Yeah, started that out wide. Barry Lester asking a bit too much of that with his second bowl. Wasn't able to come round. So that's a very wide wing bowl, which Chris Lalive might be able to use the guide to make sure he's well inside that. First bowl was good. Can he make it another one on the head? Gary Lawson's interested.
It looks pretty good as it breaks that down towards the head now. Is it going to get all the way, all but getting set on the centre line? And two good, pretty opening bowls. Only matter about 15 inches away from the jack. One in behind, one just in front. And you've got to have bowls around the head. Chris Lalive playing this with the same bowls that he's played with. I think it's 19 years now he's had this set of bowls. And never changed them as we watch Whitlock just drift by. So Gary Lawson saying to Jamie Hill, change your hand and play up to the Australian bowl to the right of the head.
A lot of very quick players in this game, so blink and you'll miss it in this men's 4 action with the likes of Wedlock, Tees, Wilson for Australia, Jamie Hill, a very fast player, Ali Forsyth as well. As Aaron Wilson there just asked Wedlock to hold up for a moment. He tries to call the shot.
So asking Wedlock, doesn't mind if he goes past the head a fraction and gets him behind. So breaks down towards the head now. Going to come all the way back to the head, and that's about where he sort of indicated he would like it. Jamie Hill, whether he's going to play that same shot again. No, Gary Lawson saying play either hand, and I think you might see Hill change his hand and try and draw up to that. No, he's not. He's staying on that backhand side, trying to get down to these Krista Leaf bowl perhaps and turn it over with some weight. Just going to get the side of the Australian bowl, tip it over once, it rolled back. Hard shots to play. It's the longest I've seen Australians take to play a shot. So Aaron Wilson actually giving instructions to Aaron Tees, and as Brendan rightly said before, there's no doubt Aaron Tees is certainly, he's a player of real international class, that's for sure. Never far away.
Here's another example of it, although that one hasn't worked out well for him, promoting the Lalive bowl, which should be the shot now. Although I think Lawson was maybe indicating with his finger one down, but surely that Lalive bowl was the shot.
Looking from the monitor here, it certainly looks like the front bowl of Chris Lalive is the shot. The only one other could be is the
Wedlock bowl.
The Corey Wedlock bowl in there, which, so we'll see now whether Ali Forsyth can reach that bowl of Corey Wedlock's or get a touch on the Chris Lalive one. If he does, that's definitely the shot now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Touch it, coming off that Lalive bowl onto the jack. New Zealand holding one after dropping a 3 on the opening end of 18 in this men's fours final round action. Multi-nations here at the Broadbeach Bowls Club on the Gold Coast.
T certainly playing up to the head for sure. He might just get the back Chris Lalive bowl, which he does, and just pushes that back out of the head. The good thing is that New Zealand have got another second bowl locked in there as well if they attack it. But it would, the Ali Forsyth bowl would go with it. I'm picking we'll see Lawson now trying to just get some security around the back of the head, holding one, because we know that Aaron Wilson will not be trying to dead draw the shot. He'll certainly be playing with weight, but New Zealand has got the advantage. We've got some bowls back here. There's Ali Forsyth's bowl. Mind you, we've got two bowls which are pretty similar, haven't we? Jamie Hill's bowls and is it Teaser's bowls are quite similar, but New Zealand definitely holding one shot. And of course the other big game on this round here is that of Ireland up against Australia, the other Australian combination. New Zealand and Ireland are battling their way to try and find who'll be in that fourth position to go play the semi-final.
There's Wilson with his first. Aaron Wilson, the skip of this Australia green men's 4, hangs it out wide, asking for a lot from it. And it's just going to stay out wide as well. So not exactly what he was after.
Not a lot that Lawson can actually really do here. He doesn't want to touch the jack because the last few days New Zealand have been a wee bit prone of giving shots away as well on a few occasions of getting a slice of it, the jack, or just need to make sure. The big thing is to hold on to the shot and score, get the mat, determine the length, and start again. So here's Gary Lawson, the New Zealand skip, playing on his backhand. Definitely holding one, getting down towards the back of the head again. Australia scoring a 3 on the first end. After Aaron Wilson moved the jack, taking the shot off New Zealand, moving the jack and creating 3. So Wilson, I'm sure, on the forehand, and he's on the backhand playing down with sort of weight, just sort of reachy weight, but again, Brendan, that looks to be on that wide side.
Yeah, asking too much of it again, and we've seen once you get outside that line, haven't you? Be it the first match earlier in the women's triples or this the men's 4s, it's very difficult to come back. They stay out there when they get outside that line. It's another example of it
and
from Wilson.
Interesting here, New Zealand are looking to try and play the crack an egg onto that Ali Forsyth bowl and move the jack back into here.
So in here you say the T.
Back towards, here's Lawson, he's on the charge. It's on the wide side.
Yeah, and that's missed the target. So he was trying to knock the shot bowl and the jack back to where the New Zealand bowls were, past the tee. It wasn't to be, but New Zealand on the board on the second end of 18. It's 3-1. Australia Green now leading New Zealand.
I think reality would have been nice if we got it, but I think at this stage I've been quite happy to pick the one up, and let's just start getting into the match. 2 ends gone, 3-1 to Australia. It was 15 ends in the fours, 18 ends in the triples and the pairs, and 21 up in the singles. And behind us, of course, we've got the New Zealand women's pairs combination of Taylor Bruce and Joe Edwards. They are also up against Australia.
Yeah, Australia Green getting off to a good start in that one. Alan Ryan and Karen Murphy leading after 3 ends, 7-3 over Taylor Bruce and Joe Edwards. So very accomplished women's pairing for Australia Green with Alan Ryan and the retiring Karen Murphy. So both those sides already assured of places in the semi-finals. And it's just a matter of where they're going to finish. The women's pair from New Zealand, 6-0 they are. So they're top of the table, and just one defeat for Australia Green. So they're sitting in second, just 3 points back, but a chance to take top spot if they can knock over the New Zealand women's pair. But our focus at the moment is on this men's fours action final round.
Good opening bowl by Crystal Eve. Just draws directly in behind the jack, about 15 inches in behind the jack. Perfectly weighted bowl as we watch this first bowl of Barry Lester's. Just going to sit on the leaf bowl. Very good response there from the Australian lead. Crystal Eve played on his favoured backhand.
Well, it was the perfect reply, wasn't it, from Barry Lester. Had the target there of the leaf bowl. Sat right on it. Now what can Leave do with his second?
We'll see, as we spoke about before, Brendan, although he gets a lot of draw out of his bowls, as Crystal Leave, and it comes right back to the centre line. If you're just a wee bit outside that centre line, you're not going to get the same generous draw to the jack. But two fine bowls from Crystal Leave. They're over the head and
right on the tee as well. If the end is killed, that's where the jack will be spotted, right next to that Laleeve bowl. So that could be a factor if the jack is moved. There's great grouping here between the two leads, Lester and Laleeve. You can throw a hand towel over those four.
Four on the line, just sitting in behind the jack. There's Jamie Hill, the 31-year-old, 32-year-old, tall Auckland player. Started playing bowls at Okahu Bay with his father Neville at about age 10, and he's just going to skip past. But again, his second shot for sure. Another one down New Zealand, and started playing at the now closed Okahu Bay Bowling Club, where there was the likes of the great Rowan Brassey, Nick Unkovich, legendary players at Okahu Bay. And look at this bowl of Corey Wedlock's just going to pull up fractionally short, but certainly running towards the jack. So Jamie Hill, along with Richard Gervin, was another one. They all lived close by, and they were very young starters at Okahu Bay. As we watch this second bowl now of Jamie Hill's breaking down towards the head, just not going to quite have the weight. One down New Zealand, trailing 3-1 after 2 of the 15 ends.
Aaron Tees, Corey Wedlock, the distinctive multicoloured bowls now playing on the backhand side. This is coming back towards the head, urged on by Aaron Wilson. I think by the looks of Aaron Wilson's description, it fell just short. No, in fact, it went straight onto the jack. We saw a quick glimpse there as Gary Lawson moved away momentarily. And so, great bowl that from Wedlock, a toucher as the spray came out. So, Australia Green holding at least 2.
Forsyth on the forehand, playing with weight to try and dislodge, get some reduction.
Looking on target, and it knocks out the shot bowl of Wedlock. But that's all it did knock out. Didn't touch the jack.
Very good bowl to be able to get that contact without moving the jack at all. Gary Lawson, I think, having looked to see whether they're 1 or 2 down. But at least the head's open now remove that toucher. So there's an opportunity to draw the shot. as we watch this bowl of Aaron Tees. We'll just drift past, and Gary Lawson saying to Ali Forsyth, reach up here. And he's playing with weight again, trying to get straight to the jack. On its way, he's going to get the front bowl, I think, and run away. But surprised with that shot, to be fair.
Yeah, there was room for the draw, wasn't there? So they went with the more, I suppose, low percentage play.
Well, it's always difficult as well, Brendan, when you've got two front bowls which are sitting out there virtually and close to the line. You know, your judgment's not... you haven't got a lot of room to get down to the jack, and that was with full weight. So now here's Aaron Tees trying to make two of it. He sits on the Jamie Hill bowl, or inside it, he will, and he done just that.
Look at that. Perfection again from Aaron Tees. High fives all round for the Australian green men's four. Now a bit to ponder for Gary Lawson and Ali Forsyth as they meet mid-green to discuss what Lawson should try and do, whether he plays forehand or backhand. There is still room to work into. He will try and pretty much emulate exactly what Tees did with his last sit on that Tees bowl if he can, and then he'll have the shot himself, but certainly it's at least two for Australia, potentially three.
And Lawson going to play on that, to be on that backhand. It's on its way, Lawson bowl, and as Brendan said, trying to follow the bowl that Aaron Tees played. It's breaking down towards the head now. How's it going to get past the front one and sit? It sat and rolled out. He made contact, in fact, with the shot bowl. And
very unfortunate, wasn't he, Gary Lawson? That was just millimetres away from being absolutely perfect. Unfortunately for him, slid off that shot bowl and is non-counting. There's now Aaron Wilson quickly about his work with his first bowl. Tees, Lester, and now Wedlock getting in close proximity, trying to urge this on, but it's going to stay wide. And I think they wanted a bowl amongst those New Zealand ones there. The Lawson and the Leave bowl.
May have just because Gary Lawson did get some contact. He did move on the other Australian bowl, whether that's brought it back to one or not, because there was some movement of that other close bowl to the head. But see now, Lawson changing his hand now, going to the forehand. Let's see whether he can make contact. And he's drawing down on the forehand, trying to either rest on the shot bowl or get a touch on the jack.
He's asking a lot of it.
Breaking now towards the head. Breaking towards the head, but just going to drop past it.
Well, hasn't been far away with either of those attempts, especially the first, but those are the small margins at top-level bowls, and Gary Lawson's been on the wrong side of it. Now, Aaron Wilson will play the last bowl of this third end. A chance to add another decent number for Australia green.
Certainly got a different line than he had with his first bowl as Wilson, but he's under the line. See, that was well under the line from the outset. So we'll see what they decide here. Aaron Tees having a look. Two it was.
Two Aaron Tees signals. So Australia green now extend their advantage. 5-1. They lead the New Zealanders in this men's fours. Final round matchup of the multi-nations here at the Broadbeach Bowls Club on the Gold Coast. A game if New Zealand win, and then they will rely on what Ireland do on their joining rink against Australia Yellow to see whether they make it through to the semi-finals. They could actually go through with a loss if both teams lose, but the New Zealanders lose by fewer shots than Ireland. I can tell you at the moment it is Australia Yellow leading Ireland 4-1. And also have some women's pairs action as well for you at the moment. New Zealand women's pair of Taylor Bruce and Joe Edwards up against Ellen Ryan and Karen Murphy. And New Zealand has scored a couple, I think, on the fifth end. It's now Australia 7, New Zealand 6 in that one. We'll keep you up to date on that while we broadcast this men's fours final round for you. And just a reminder, stay with us later today because we will have the women's pairs semi-final. Bruce and Edwards against a yet-to-be-determined opponent. That one from around 5:45 p.m. New Zealand time.
Good opening bowl by Chris Olive. Sits just alongside the jack. And, of course, as well, we saw a bit of heartache earlier on this morning for Andrew Kelly, the New Zealand singles player who had to win his game over the Australian Jesse Narina this morning. He did that, and then it came down to differential between Andrew Kelly and Ryan Bester. And the New Zealand player missing out by a single shot on differential, missing out by one not to go through to the semi-finals. So not to be for Andrew Kelly, but of course he is in the final of the men's triples along with Krista Leave and Ali Forsyth, which will be played here at Broadbeach tomorrow. So we've seen Barry Lester play his two bowls, and it's still Leave holding the shot as he plays his second bowl on this, the fourth end, definitely holding the one shot.
Having to change to the backhand side, and especially playing this way seems to give them a lot of difficulty. So they are playing from the southern end of the Broadbeach Bowls Club to the northern end towards our commentary position, and really struggled with the line. And they found once they've hung it outside, it's not coming back, and that's why we're seeing a bit of a messy head. Although saying that, last time we played this way, they're pretty much perfect.
But certainly it's sort of like a bit of a lazy draw as we watch this bowl of Corey Wedlock's now on that same line, but just fell short. And straight away we see now Gary Lawson saying to Jamie Hill, let's change our hand, let's get on another hand. We're holding the shot, and we've more than likely got more drawing room. Gary Lawson indicating this bowl of Jamie Hill's is going to be short. And obviously it is, as we see it pull up now, a good metre and a half in front of the jack. As we see Wedlock very quickly into his work with the red, white and blue striped bowls. And he's brought his line in considerably here. And how's this going to run past the jack? Is it? Or get to the jack? And they got a touch on the jack, but it'll still be, we may have made sure, no, still one to New Zealand. So it's imperative that Jamie Hill, with his second bowl, he gets past the head, reaches up to those Australian bowls sitting in the catching pen. As we watch it now, breaking down towards the head. Certainly it's on the wider side, and it's behind the head. But it's about as well, I think, Brendan, you've got to get that consistency as well around the head, don't you? You know, we've got to build heads, and it's the key to this game. As we watch now, we see Aaron Teeth. He's short, ran into the Jamie Hill bowl. It's imperative here, though, that Ali Forsyth, as Gary Lawson indicates, a bit of wind coming up here behind us now.
Yeah, gusting a bit at the Broadbeach Bowls Club, which has been a bit of a factor of this week, especially at the Musgrave Hill Bowls Club, which is a bit more elevated than Broadbeach and Club Helensvale.
Windy Hill, they call it, don't they? I think.
Yeah, I think it was Aaron Sheriff was complaining about why they built a bowls club there. Of course, he was saying it, and Chris Leave could hear him. And Chris Leave, the bowls coordinator there?
He is the bowls coordinator there. And of course, the manager of that club is a former New Zealand player, Brian Boardman. Been there for about 20 years now, has Brian. We saw the first bowl of Ali Forsyth. That was just an absolute nothing bowl. Just sort of disappeared right across the head. Short. So you're going to see Forsyth now with the blue bowls. And of course, Ali Forsyth earlier on this week played his 400th game for New Zealand. And Gary Lawson played his 300. As you watch this bowl of Ali Forsyth, trying to get under, going to make contact though with the Australian bowl, and that's messy. That's messy. Australia now got the shot because Forsyth ran into the Australian bowl.
Oh, the whole end's been messy. Look at the picture there and compare that to the last end where we had 4 or 5 bowls right on the centre line. This time nothing on the centre line, and that Australian bowl was only the shot bowl because Ali Forsyth ran into it.
Yeah, very messy head. See Aaron Wilson now, who'll play down on his forehand, definitely holding one Australian straight away. Well, you see Aaron Tees saying, get it out. It looks to me, it looks as though it's on a good little bit. It's hanging again though, but he got hold of the Corey Wedlock
big
bowl.
Opportunity this for Caitlin Inch to stake a claim here, show what she's capable of.
But as you rightly say, Brenton, it's the bowls that are around the head right now are the ones that have been knocked there.
Yeah, it has been by more chance than good play. See what Gary Lawson can do with his first. This one's on a decent track. Looks a bit narrow as it now comes under the line, but might end up in a decent position as it sits on that Crystal Leave bowl. So favour that as the second.
The second shot.
Australia's still holding the shot. As Wilson now playing his last.
They like this bowl. It's breaking in towards the head. The Australian skip. Going to sit on anything? No, it's not. Just going to go past.
Very unfortunate there. Great effort. Got applause by his teammates and Wedlock Tees in Leicester. But not quite finding its target. Touch too much weight. Now Gary Lawson, after having a little look around, see what the situation was at the head. Now on the mat.
As you said before, Brent, it's just imperative on this hand. You've got to get that line right, because if you get out a wee bit further, you certainly don't seem to have a generous draw into the head, and that's exactly what seems to have happened here with Gary Lawson.
Yeah, when you get out this wide, you're not going to come back all the way, and it's going to run into the wide stuff here. So that won't add to the count, so it should be 1 to Australia, I believe.
I'm sure it's just the one. New Zealand off to what I would call a scratchy start. They're just not getting consistent bowls in and around the head, Brenton. No, they're getting one there, but certainly not building the head. And started on that very first end, 3 to Australia. So imperative, the leave. He's been pretty consistent, but he's got to make sure that he's getting them close and putting the pressure on Aaron Wilson.
Yeah, confirmed. Just 1 to Australia on the fourth end. So it's 6-1. Australia green now leading the Blackjacks. Men's 4. And yeah, they need to get things right, just like they did the last time, playing this way from north to south. But of course, Australia this time with the mat, and they decided to play a shorter length end. New Zealand was playing a lot closer towards the tee at the 2 metre mark. Australia have brought that right up, and that's why, because Barry Lester likes it there.
He certainly does, and the mat's been pulled up and shortened it up considerably. And Barry Lester, he draws a touch up. As you watch the leave now on his backhand, playing down towards the Leicester bowl. Just looks on the wider side, though it's coming back a long way. It's going to be handy. You're going to sit him behind the head by about 2 foot on the line. So Leicester again now. He'll play down with the Australian coloured bowls. Looks to be on a good line again. Does the second bowl of Barry Leicester's. On this the 50, and it's going to be, I'm just going to pull up a wee bit short, but it's in a good line. Of course, the thing with that bowl there, it certainly makes that draw quite difficult, because you have to get around that front bowl to get to the counting bowl, because it sits right inside the draw line. There's Lalive, now playing out of the Musgrove Hills Club. Gary Lawson questioning the weight of this bowl as it goes by and behind the head. Well, I suppose it's okay if you can get the jack to move, isn't it, Brenton? But you've got to get the jack to move first.
Yeah, exactly. The way Australia is playing so far, it's going to be very difficult to access the jack. We'll see what Corey Wedlock can do with his first. Looks on a decent track here. It's just going to come under the line a bit short. But still, that'll be 3 Australia at the moment.
So here's now Jamie Hill on his backhand, trying to get second shot at least. Breaking down towards the head. It looks as though that's going to match those Crystal Leaf bowls at the back, and it does. It goes back by a metre and a bit.
Aaron Wilson calling for Corey Wedlock to bowl one down there to provide a bit of cover to nestle alongside the Chris Lalive bowls if he can. And he's just going to come around the back of the Lalive bowls. But Wilson, thumbs up for them, right, indicating that that's pretty much on the tee. So if the jack is moved, is killed, then it'll be replaced on that tee. And that could be a very handy bowl from Corey Wedlock. We'll see if Jamie Hill with his second gets his weight right. This one's tracking towards the jack. Will touch. Unfortunately, just knocks it closer to the Australia green bowl. But still a great effort, that from Jamie Hill. And the first one that Gary Lawson's seen go close.
It has, and got some chalk on it, and a second shot, which is imperative that they get those bowls around the head to give a chance to score. And as we watch now, he's going to go past now. Gary Lawson indicating to Ellie Forsyth, you can get the shot off the Jamie Hill bowl. Australia leading 6-1, 6-1 after 4 of the 15 ends. As we watch Ellie Forsyth on the forehand with the blue bowls, trying to get down to this counting shot bowl. Is it going to hold up long enough? Get the jack, would sit the bowl. He did. And move the jack sort of backwards and leaves New Zealand holding one.
Yeah, very well executed here, as we see in the replay. Exactly what Gary Lawson was calling for, saying if you could get the outside of the jack on to the New Zealand bowl of Jamie Hill off the Australian bowl. And it's very well done by Ali Forsyth. And quickly trying to respond is Aaron Tees, as he gets a rather fortuitous touch off the short Wedlock bowl. But it slides through, unable to change the count. Still New Zealand holding one.
And of course we'll see now Ali Forsyth, he'll change his hand and endeavour to get to where those Australian bowls are sitting, just in behind their head. Certainly New Zealand holding one at the changeover. And Gary Lawson having a look at this bowl now as it breaks towards the head, has to get down to these bowls. Is it going to get all the way down? Looks like it from here. Is it going to get to the counting position? Yes, it does. But as we know, Brenton, with the way how the Australian plays, they attack the head. It's looking like a big pavlova cake to them.
Yeah, a massive target for Aaron Wilson. He'll be able to see that all the way down the other end of the green as he makes his way back to the northern end of green number 4 here at the Broadbeach Bowls Club. And Wilson doesn't muck around when he's on the mat. Quickly about his work. Straight away you've got Lester, Tees in the crouch position. They're interested. They know this isn't that far away, but it's just going to nick that Jamie Hill bowl and slide by.
Just got a touch on it, just a little feather.
It wasn't far away. It was not far away at all, Aaron Wilson. He'll just want a slight correction there with his line, and then he'll be knocking away that shot bowl and sitting for the shot itself.
Lawson now, Gary Lawson playing his first bowl. On this, the 15, and he'll try and match that Ali Forsyth drawn bowl. And he'll also play down on his backhand. Playing down towards the northern end. And it's going to just drift by on the wider side. Certainly been struggling to find that line coming down this on the Hypno, Brenton. It's certainly, as you rightly said, right throughout this morning's game as well. If you just get outside that line by too much, you're certainly not going to draw back towards the head. It's a pretty fine line. Aaron Wilson having a look now. I thought he'd just be straight onto the mat and.
Well, he usually is, but knows the significance of this, a Trans-Tasman contest, especially with the Trans-Tasman coming in just a few days to be played here at Broadbeach, also at Club Helensvale and Musgrave Hill from Monday through to Wednesday. We'll be bringing you all that coverage here as well. Myself, Brenton Vannisselroy and Kevin Hicklin. As after a discussion with Aaron Tees, number 3, makes his way back to the mat. Aaron Wilson to bowl his second. New Zealand holding a couple.
2 shots will be very important for New Zealand. The way how the game's gone so far. Looking at this one, Barry Lester getting excited. They're looking at this closely as this breaks down. He's going to get the jack, and he does. And 1 to Australia. He got a touch on the jack. There is a chance here, of course, for New Zealand as well to play down. On the other hand, get a touch on the Ellie Forsyth bowl, move the jack back about 15 inches, and New Zealand could score 3.
The other option is to play on the forehand to the shot bowl as well, and try and sit on the shot bowl.
Sit through the shot bowl, and even then the jack has a chance of still moving back in New Zealand's favour. So here's Lawson now.
It looks like he is going to play on the forehand side, so he's going to try and do exactly that, try and sit on the shot bowl with a bit of weight. Looks like the weight is good as he got the line right. Unfortunately, going to kiss off that short bowl and only moved the shot bowl a bit closer. So that has been confirmed. 1 more for Australia. After New Zealand were dictating the terms on that 5th end, but they now lead 7-1 Australia green over the New Zealand men's 4. In the final round here of action at the Multi-Nations.
And just the point to that, Brendan, is that, which must be, I'm not saying of concern to the New Zealand coaches or selectors, but it's also about the conversions that Australia are able to make, and we saw that this morning as well in the women's triples, where Australia were converting the heads, and we're seeing this so far with Aaron Wilson in this particular game as well. He has been down on 3 of the 5 heads Ian's played, and he's been able to convert them, and those are the big differences in these matches when you're able to convert those crucial shots. And we've seen now Aaron Wilson do it, as I say, on 3 of 5 ends, and that certainly gives your team as well a lot of confidence as Australia bounce out to a 7-1 lead after 5 of the 15 ends. And as Brenton said, we'll be bringing you all of the coverage right throughout the finish of the Multi-Nations, of course, tomorrow, and then the Trans-Tasman starting on Monday. As we watch now, Crystal Eve, this is interesting. He's gone to that change of hand on that side. It breaks down towards the head. Looks to be on a reasonably good line. How's the weight as it breaks in towards the jack now? That's a pretty good opening bowl. Sits right on the centre line. Of course, the other big encounter for us is the Ireland-Australia game, which Ireland as well have to win, and it's all about differential. But we'll focus on this New Zealand game. And
so basically what they have to do is just better Ireland by a couple of shots. If
Correct.
It's a loss or a win, just better the margin from Ireland's result. So we will keep you up to date with that one. By the looks of it, Australia Yellow are leading Ireland in that contest as well. So it'll be one, no doubt. Gary Lawson will be casting a bit of a glance to every now and then.
So as we watch it, Crystal Eve second bowl on this 6th end, and really looks to be more on the wider side, and it was.
It's been a great comeback in the women's pairs in the final round against Australia Green. That's now Taylor Bruce and Joe Edwards leading Alan Ryan and Karen Murphy 12-7 after 8 of the 18 ends. Of course, they have been unbeaten so far, Taylor Bruce and Joe Edwards. And speaking with Joe Edwards yesterday, they want to go unbeaten throughout the whole competition. They've struck up a pretty good partnership, have those two, the experience of Joe Edwards and the relative inexperience of Taylor Bruce off the front.
So as we watch Jamie Hill trying to get down to the jack, and he does, and he gets the jack clean on the trail, takes it straight back to the Crystal Eve bowl. Leaves New Zealand side laying 2 shots. Very good bowl there from Jamie Hill, New Zealand number 2. As we see Corey Wedlock trying to play up to those bowls, indicating it's going to go past as it breaks down towards the head now, and it will just skip past the jack. But you see, Brendan, how they're always playing with that searching weight to try and get into the head all the time. It's
giving themselves a chance, aren't they?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You play with that weight, you give yourself a chance to change the outcome or what the head has been set up like. If you don't give yourself a chance. So this is another great bowl from Jamie Hill. So back-to-back touches from the New Zealand number 2.
So New Zealand lane 3 shots as the number 3s will play their first bowl. Aaron Tees for Australia and Ali Forsyth, the New Zealand number 3, and 3 shots to New Zealand. And as Brenton rightly said just a few moments ago, I'm sure we're going to see Tees now. Here he is on his forehand. He'll play up, reaching up to these bowls, playing up towards us here in the commentary position. And it's breaking down towards the head now. It's going to get a feather again. That fortuitous feather got the jack. Moves it again, and it'll be 1 to Australia.
Oh, this is an exhibition, isn't it? This is great draw bowling by both sides. First Jamie Hill, back-to-back, and now Aaron Tees just showing his class. Quickly on the mat, knew the line, knew the weight he needed to play, and trailing that jack back towards the tee.
So here's now Ali Forsyth trying to get to the Aaron Tees bowl, which is shot and just goes by. So we'll see now Aaron Tees play his second bowl on this, the 6 of 15 ends. And again, he'll play up following the Forsyth bowl. And definitely on that wider side. How fast is it going to draw back now on? Has he got dead draw weight? Looks pretty good from here. Is it going to get all the way? Yes, it will. It's a couple.
Stamping after it, urging it on was Aaron Tees there. Another great bowl. Now all to do for Lawson's 4. Ali Forsyth to now play his second. He's told Forsyth to stick with his forehand side. Despite all those Australian bowls out this side. You're about to see that picture right of screen here.
And this is under the line. They have to get some contact on the Crystal Leaf bowl to be of any value. Got to touch, in fact, on the Jamie Hill bowl. But what we're seeing though, Brenton, is that Australia are just piling the pressure on the New Zealand side. New Zealand, it's the only time they've been able to build a head up, which Jamie Hill did with 2 superb toucher bowls. Straight away, Aaron Tees played up that yard of weight, moved the jack, 2 shots, pressure straight back on New Zealand. And they're doing that end after end after end.
Well, the issue was after that second toucher from Jamie Hill actually opened up a path for the jack, didn't it? And Aaron Tees too good not to make the most of that opportunity as a nice cover bowl is put in, which will stay just in play. Thumbs up from Aaron Tees to his skip and Aaron Wilson.
I can tell you that Australia are leading Ireland 8-3. 8-3 Australia leading Ireland in the other do-or-die fours game alongside the New Zealand one. But we've got to see New Zealand start doing some scoring. That's the key thing. And Gary Lawson again under pressure on the mat on this, the 6th end, 6 of 15. And he knows only too well what that pressure's like. And he's playing to try and get down to the jack, trying to get, but he's right off target. And in fact, touched nothing. Trying to get down through the front bowls directly to the jack.
He was actually trying to come in the other side of that short bowl of Australia. It came down the left-hand side of the screen rather than the right-hand side. Actually, unfortunate not to grab a touch of maybe the short Ali Forsyth bowl and promote that. Is now Wilson just looking to add to the count here and try and promote that bowl. May potentially be enough for the third, but still think Australia just holding the 2 at the moment. Gary Lawson with all to do as he's now bowling his last of the 6th.
And of course it cut that line off as well when that bolt just got pushed across the front of the head, and this is going to be too wide on that wide side. We know what happens out there, Brenton.
So 2 to Australia, indicated by Aaron Tees. Yeah, no fortune out there when you're playing on that wide side. So Australia green now leading New Zealand 9-1 after 6th of the 15 ends in this final round men's fours action. And the reason we mentioned the other score, Australia yellow over Ireland, is because basically New Zealand has to better Ireland by a couple of shots, whether it be a win or a loss, and they'll be through to the semi-finals. Australia green, Australia yellow have already qualified for the top 4, as have Malta, who have been on the big surprise packages of the action here, but need to match the Irish here and also hope some other results go their way as well. I think Canada might be able to sneak up on them as well as South Africa, so they've got to watch those results too.
So the key for New Zealand now at this point of the game is you just got to say, all right, we're starting a new game, fellas. We've got 7th end now and it's 0-all, and we've just got to start scoring. Don't worry about what the scoreboard's actually doing. You've just got to, so we start the game again and let's get into a scoring position. As we watch this bowler, Chris Leaves, his first bowl, another good opening bowl from the Leaves, going to sit just inside the jack, and that'll be shot. He's doing his job all right as young Chris Leaves. That's set in about 10 inches right in behind the jack. Barry Lester, he drew inside the Lester bowl, which is the shot.
Yeah, the other match that we need to keep you up to date with as well in the men's 4s is South Africa and Norfolk Island, because South Africa are also on 7 points along with New Zealand and Ireland, and while their shot differential was far inferior, of course if they win and the other two don't, South Africa will be going to the semi-finals, and currently they are leading Norfolk Island 11-1 after 5 of the 15 ends. So that's not going well for New Zealand or Ireland at the moment. So the way it is, New Zealand have to try and turn around this deficit against Australia green, otherwise they will not be taking part in the semi-finals.
2 good bowls from Chris Leaves, just ran past with his second one, but matches those other, the Barry Lester bowl. So there's the scenario that Brenton just put to you there. Shows you that all of a sudden South Africa are driving the car into 4th place at this stage.
Yeah, certainly are, and just making it clear that New Zealand have to win this, because you'd be very surprised if South Africa give up such a lead against Norfolk Island, although funnier things have happened in the game of bowls. Of course, South Africa, one of the teams to beat New Zealand on day 1 of competition.
As we see, Corey Whitlock draws just in front, just behind the jack. Jamie Hill's reply was slightly on the narrow side, so it just run across the head. So now we see Corey Whitlock again. He's riding this one, looks to be on the narrow side again.
Yeah, turns his back on that one. Not a fan of that one, Corey Whitlock, especially compared to his first, which was outstanding. That one not up to his usual high standards, Corey Whitlock. The number 2 is now Jamie Hill. Quickly about his work. No mucking around on the mat as he plays out to
He's under
that
the line
forehand
again.
side. And it's going to be nestled pretty similar to that Whitlock bowl, to the right of screen.
And it's all about, as you spoke about this morning, Brenton, that getting back to the centre line to give yourself a scoring chance. Just simply, it's imperative. 9-1 Australia lead after 6 of the 15 ends. And I see Aaron Tees, he didn't like that one when he let it go. And it's on that wider side that Brenton and I have been talking about. But it is going to come back to the centre line. But it was more weight than anything else. So now Ellie Forsyth got to start turning things around here and try and rest out. That is the Corey Whitlock bowl, which is the shot at present.
Yeah, they just need to try and win an end whatever way possible, just to get control of the mat as well, so they can dictate the length of the ends, because these shorter length ends with the mat pulled up and the jack not all the way back towards the tee certainly have been favouring Australia green, especially with how they've executed with this man who's on the mat now, Aaron Tees, and also Aaron Wilson.
Well, they certainly know how to convert, and we've seen Tees. He's been pretty outstanding, actually. He hasn't played many loose bowls at all as we watch him play his second bowl with Corey Whitlock's bowl, holding the shot as you watch the Tees bowl. Looks as though that's going to break under the head as well. Just just slides away. It's imperative that Forsyth gets up to that bowl. He's wanting a bit to play with a lot more weight, actually, to try and hold the bowl up under the line. So it's on its way. Here's the Ali Forsyth bowl. Looks to be on a better line as it breaks. No, it's not going to. Is it going to get to the jack? No, it's not.
It's going to come under the line as well. And certainly, the battle of the back end has been won by Australia. Aaron Tees and Aaron Wilson, without doubt, been getting the better of Ali Forsyth and Gary Lawson through the opening 6.5 ends. The
interesting thing is, and if you look at their head right now, Brendan, we're down on the head, but we've actually got from our lead in 2, we've actually got 4 bowls that aren't that far away, actually. But you're right, we're just not converting those shots. And as we watch Wilson now, who's very quickly into his work, holding the one again, and he's going to the. He can sort of play the board a wee bit as well here. He's going for safety down the back. It's Gary Lawson, really, we've just got to start scoring. That's the key. So here's Gary Lawson trying to get down to that shot bowl, but that's going to go underneath the head as well. I can assure you of that. One down at this point in time, but you're right. What you say, Brendan, is the back end of the New Zealand team. They're just not getting effective bowls into play, are they?
Yeah. Well, the rare times that New Zealand lead and number 2 have actually got the better of Australia, which has happened on a few of the ends. They haven't been completely outclassed. Hasn't been capitalised on by Forsyth and Lawson. Where every time Australia has had the advantage, they have capitalised.
Absolutely.
And really made the most of it, and that's one of the reasons why they're holding such a commanding lead. 9-1, playing the 7th end as Lawson with the final bowl of the 7th end.
Trying to break
Needs
back.
a good one here.
He doesn't want to push the Grizzly bowl too far out, and he has. That'll be 2.
Yeah, it should make it 2. So another bowl handed away, and there's 2 more for Australia. So after 7 of the 15 ends, we approach the halfway stage, and it's all Australia green. 11-1. They now lead New Zealand, who have really struggled to get anything going in this match so far. And I can tell you, after 10 of 18 ends in the women's pairs final round, it is New Zealand. Joe Edwards and Taylor Bruce leading Ellen Ryan and Karen Murphy 12-9.
Well, the big thing here for New Zealand, Brendan, we're at the halfway mark, and as I said at the end before, well, you just cancel out the first 7 ends, and it's 0-all. We've got another game. Now, if they can score the shots, you can score the shots. You just got to get consistency and get some effective bowls into play, and anything can happen. There's still, sure, they're 10 shots behind, but you're never out of it. You just don't look at the board, just say we start a new game now and into it.
Yeah, and the way this is going, New Zealand men's 4 won't look back on this game as the crucial game either. They lost to Canada, they lost to Malta, they lost to South Africa, all games they were expecting to win, especially against Canada and Malta. And if they'd won those, they wouldn't be in this position. They'd already be in the semi-finals.
Certainly right. And that they've struggled all the way. And look, let's face it. It's a pretty good foresight. Remember, 3 of that same foresight were at the Asia Pacific Championships, which we were here for, Brendan. Only one that's not here is Mike Kernaghan, but they just simply, for whatever reason, they haven't clicked. As we see the Crystal Leaf Bowl go by a metre, but come Monday and the Trans-Tasman starts, things have to change.
Yeah, certainly do. And we must mention as well that the calibre of teams here is another level from the Asia Pacific Championship. With 2 Australian teams, with Ireland here, South Africa here as well, who weren't at the Asia Pacific Championships earlier this year. This is another step up, and unfortunately for the New Zealand men's 4, haven't managed to take that next step up.
Well,
there's still time here, must be said.
The interesting country, Brendan, is that of Malta, isn't it? Because they've done very well, haven't they?
They've been a massive surprise, Malta. Beating New Zealand, beating, I think, at least one of the Australian combinations they've beaten. Now they're facing Canada, who are bottom of the table.
As the lead gets with his second bowl, gets good touch, good contact with the jack, and moves it back to where his first bowl is. And New Zealand holding 2 as Corey Wedlock, the Rarilla player, plays his first bowl on this, the 8th of 15 ends, and looks as going to pull up short. So here's an opportunity, Brendan, for New Zealand to. They've got the head looking. They're holding three short bowls from Australia. Let's just get some more bowls around the head, and who knows? 0-all. Let's just start again. Jamie Hill playing his first bowl. He's got to miss this bowl of Wedlock, which he does, and sits in behind. Just go past. Won't count because it's gone a wee bit too far, but it's over the head. That's fine. So here's now Corey Wedlock again. Definitely 2 shots to New Zealand. This looks to have better weight this time. Is it going to sit on the Crystal Leaf bowl or go through the hole? Goes through the hole.
Yeah, unfortunately there, Wedlock playing with that attacking weight, and that one goes in the ditch, so that won't be counting now. That's Hill with his second. That expression suggests maybe he doesn't like it too much as the teapot comes out now.
Certainly has. If he gets past here, it's going to depend on the weight. If he can sit on the Crystal Leaf bowl. No, it goes by, but New Zealand still holding 2. Gary Lawson applauding it, but can't quite see it in the picture here, but looks like we're in the ditch. So here, now Aaron Tees, and he's got dead draw weight. Is he going to sit inside the bowl? He's going to just sit outside the Crystal Leaf bowl, is he? Still be 1 to New Zealand. As Lawson signaling we're 1 down.
Well, there's not much in it. I perhaps favour the Australia green bowl there.
Yes, that signal from Gary Lawson looked like 1 down. So, Ali Forsyth now. Gary Lawson still looking. What's the best shot to play? And it's saying change. Try and get underneath to the counting position. So here's now Ali Forsyth, of course, 400 games plus now for New Zealand on his forehand. And we're saying that New Zealand may well be holding the shot. As we watch this bowl of Ali Forsyth, with that weight, one would think that they're 1 down. Brendan, would you agree?
Yeah, certainly.
So Forsyth was trying to get down to sit on the bowl, and Aaron Wilson signalling clearly then that Australia have got the shot, being the first bowl. Now he's looking for the jack in the ditch. In fact, they've killed it.
So come back to the spot.
And Aaron Wilson still signalling that there is 1.
In fact, I think it has stayed in the ditch. So it hasn't been killed. So it's in the ditch, and obviously Australia have a toucher in the ditch. So interesting there.
So they come down towards us here, the jack in the ditch.
And Ali Forsyth has just come into screen there, right of screen, and that's certainly well out of play. And the skips will now have their turn, and they'll try and draw to the ditch, because that's where the jack and the shot bowls are.
I think it's fair to say, Brendan, that New Zealand have struggled to date.
I think it's absolutely fair to say. It's been all one-way traffic. The scoreline is a very fair reflection on how things have gone for the New Zealand men's 4.
I can see now the ditch. You can see the toucher in the ditch, and there's the Aaron Wilson bowl out to the side. So Australia definitely lane 2 from where that jack is sitting just inside the peg.
And that Lawson bowl, the Forsyth bowl actually isn't that far away. So what I said initially was well wide. Where the jack is, it's only just inside the pegs pretty much. So it is a counter, but it still favour the Wilson and the bowl in the ditch over that from Forsyth. From that angle anyway, it's very hard to tell.
Gary Lawson trying to get down inside that counting area.
He comes up short.
Does. In fact, came up short by close to a couple of metres from where he would like to be. So Aaron Wilson, he'll play down on his backhand, definitely holding 2 Australia on its way. Very quick as Wilson on the mat. And again, a bit of a breeze going through here. Australia holding 2 shots for sure as we watch this bowl of Wilson's. And this is going to sit on the lip of the superb bowl there, Brendan.
If it stays up, and it does.
Sits on the lip.
Barry Lester takes off his hat to the skip of Australian men's 4, Aaron Wilson. That's a superb bowl. I think maybe that bowl of Forsyth may have actually been a counter, so he'll try and knock this one away, Will Lawson. And he's going to knock away one of them. In fact, he knocks away both. What an effort. That is from Gary Lawson. And now that Forsyth bowl may, in fact, be the shot bowl.
So we're looking to see.
Yes, Crystal Leaves picked up the mat. So that blue bowl of Ali Forsyth, which I said wasn't very good, was actually the shot because Gary Lawson has knocked away the 2 Aaron Wilson bowls with a great weighted effort. And New Zealand have their second. It is now 11-2. Australia Green leading New Zealand after 8 of the 15 ends. The 7th and final round of men's 4s action of the Multi-Nations tournament here on the Gold Coast. All of today's action being played at the Broadbeach Bowls Club, as it will be tomorrow as well. Finals day as well. We'll have 3 New Zealand games for you. Remains to be seen exactly what games we will have. Already we know there are 2 New Zealand combinations through to finals, the men's triple and also the men's pair through to finals. We now wait and see, firstly, if the men's 4s can make it through to the semi-finals, but what other combinations will be through to finals action tomorrow, this Multi-Nations.
So Crystal Eve has played his first bowl on the 9th end after that superb bowl from Gary Lawson. But I believe he's come up a metre short, so Barry Lester, he'll immediately trying on his forehand to get past that Leave bowl and draw a shot. But a superb bowl then from Gary Lawson, and they have been few and far between. Now Barry Lester is going to slip under the Crystal Leave bowl, not going to come around it, so there's still room. There's a metre for Crystal Leave to draw the shot. Come down now on his backhand. He's just got to go past his front bowl.
Yeah, so a lot different length in to what we've seen from the Australians. So the Leaves got the mat pretty much all the way back, and while it isn't to the tee, the jack, it's only about 1.5 metres away. So a lot longer end. And straight away, both leads, especially Leave there, struggling to adapt. See how Barry Lester adjusts with his second.
That second bowl of Crystal Leave he went to put that yard of weight on, but he put a few more yards of weight on, and it careered past. And as Brendan rightly said, they're certainly playing a different length here in New Zealand. Try and get into some sort of scoring mode, and the room has been left as well. There's Barry Lester, he's fallen short. So here's now Jamie Hill. Play down the big tall on his forehand. Play down. Trying to draw inside these bowls. And I can already see Gary Lawson's got the teapot early. And I can understand why.
Sally Forsyth, in fact.
It is too, standing up there. And that was very short, that bowl of Jamie Hill's. So here's now Corey Wedlock, the number 2 for the Aaron Wilson skip side.
So Ali Forsyth just deputising while Gary Lawson went away for a nature break. He'll be returning very, very shortly.
And still plenty of room there, Brent, isn't there, to draw as we see Jamie Hill on his forehand doesn't give a lot away, does he, Jamie Hill? Very nonchalant sort of player. Egging it on. Is it going to get all the way down towards the jack? No, it won't.
So Lawson back from the bathroom. Jamie Hill, you rightly say, Kevin, pretty much on an even keel. You don't get any highs or lows really from him.
No.
Be a very good poker player.
Very good. So here's again Wedlock. He's going to run into the short bowls. Ali Forsyth will make his way back to the mat, and ample room here to draw the shot. In fact, New Zealand will be one down, I would say, to the yellow bowl out to the side. New Zealand trailing 11-2 in this must-win round 7 game in section play in the men's fours at the multinational championships here at Broadbeach. And a star-studded combinations have been on display here for sure.
Yeah, it's incredible, this Australian men's four. And you look there, Barry Lester, the only one, I think, who was born when Gary Lawson made his debut for New Zealand in 1989.
So here's his first bolt of Ali Forsyth. Sits right in behind the jack by about a couple of feet, and that'll be shot, I would say. So Aaron Tees, the man who's got the biggest watch in Australia. He's got a huge bling watch there. You'll see it there now on the camera. It's a very, very large piece of jewellery. It's on its way. Following up the Ali Forsyth bowl. Looks to be on that sort of dangerous wider side there, Brenton, doesn't it?
Yeah, once it's out there, it's been asked to do a bit too much work and often don't come back. So it's going to finish short of the jack, but also well wide of it. So another very messy end. So they've changed the length, and both sides really struggle with it. See if Ali Forsyth can follow up a decent first bowl. Is he going to get around this Australian wide bowl? It's going to get touched on, unfortunately. So that proved to be a bit of a menace, that bowl of tees.
Well, it's like the Great Wall of China up there. There's about 6 or 7 bowls there now, all sort of located in like an umbrella arc around the front of the head. And quite difficult to get the bowl to draw around to where that jack area is. So Aaron Tees now, he'll play on his backhand, trying to get up into that area with Ali Forsyth definitely holding the shot. Like this one as it breaks down towards the head. What's it going to make contact with? He turns this bowl over. He could make shot of it, and does. And turned over one of the Australian bowls. That's certainly the shot for sure.
Yeah, more great work from Aaron Tees. He's really relishing this little match-up with Ali Forsyth. It must be said, he's got the better of the more experienced Forsyth. Majority of ends. The youngster, certainly the face of Australian bowls now, and can be for as long as he wants to be. Aaron Tees, immensely talented young player, as is Aaron Wilson and Corey Wedlock, all youngsters, but that's Australian bowls, isn't it? They've got
certainly is
a number of incredibly good young players that are demanding selection in the Australian team.
Yes, we watched Lawson trying to get down to that shot bowl, but just runs into the Crystal Leaf bowl. But it does open the head up for him to be able to play with weight. But of course, Aaron Wilson, he'll be doing his utmost to get, say, another bowl close by. He's got the knee, the black tape around the...
And one around the right wrist as well. Don't know if it's just for show or he's actually been carrying an injury.
Don't know. So here's the first bolt, Wilson's, and he's gone in behind the head, which is ideally where they wanted it to be. So Lawson, he'll be on, Gary Lawson, be on his backhand. Definitely one down as we play in 9 of 15, and Lawson trying to get to the shot bowl. It's on its way down now. We'll just see, come past Aaron Tees, will it? And just falls outside the bowl. was, I don't know, just a bowl away and wait to get the ideal shot, but it'll be Australia that scores again.
Yeah, see if he can make it more than just one. Aaron Wilson here. He's playing on that forehand side. He's got a few things to work around. Beats the first hurdle and through the second. And it's going to sit almost on the Ali Forsyth ball. Not quite enough to make it to Australia. But another one for them. And they now lead 12-2 after 9 of 15 ends. 7th and final round, men's fours, the multi-nations on the Gold Coast. New Zealand's semi-final hopes fast fading. They have to win, given the fact that South Africa in control against Norfolk Island on the adjoining rink. And South Africa, New Zealand and Ireland all tied on points for that 4th and final playoff berth heading into this final round.
Well, as we go into this 10th end, Brenton, it's certainly looking sort of a dismal hope now for New Zealand to make their way back because, as you rightly said a few moments ago, South Africa were having a tidy lead at that point in time over the Norfolk Island combination, and Ireland were behind via Australia in this other game here. But with us being 12-2 behind, as we see Barry Lester just draw his first bowl just in behind the jack, we're running out of ends, points, everything. So nothing's ever a forlorn hope, but it is just getting beyond, I think, the likelihood of New Zealand getting out of this.
Now they need a minor miracle against the calibre of this Australian green team. I can also let you know in the final round of the women's pairs, Taylor Bruce and Joe Edwards of New Zealand are locked at 13 all with Ellen Ryan and Karen Murphy. That to decide who finishes top of that section. And the women's pairs, both sides already assured of places in the semi-finals. New Zealand women's pair unbeaten through the first 6 rounds, trying to make it 7-0 and involved in a great tussle with Ellen Ryan and Karen Murphy. There's a decent start off the front from Barry Lester. Gets one just past the jack. And another one in a very handy position. Chris Lalive forced to respond.
Of course, his first bowl is only let's say under a foot away, but still one down on the head as he plays his second bowl on this, the 10th end. It just goes past and breaks him behind a metre. He's got a bowl sitting just in front of the jack on that line in towards the kitty. And Corey Wedlock waving that one away as he let it go because he looks as though he was on that narrower line, but he might sit. No, he did sit on the New Zealand bowl.
It worked very handy. He didn't like it because that wasn't the aim, but it's worked out very fortuitously for Corey Wedlock, sitting on that wide-ish bowl of Chris Lalive as Jamie Hill plays with weight, but all he manages to do is pretty much get rid of the Lalive bowl as it spits out from the right to the left of our pitcher.
So I think all New Zealand can do here is they've got to try and move the jack or attack the 3 bowls there to get rid. Well, we saw this morning it can be done because we saw Natasha Scott this morning dislodge in one drive, dislodge 4 bowls, 4 counting bowls of New Zealand, took the whole 4 out of the head. So it can certainly be done, that's for sure. As we watch this bowl of Jamie Hills, it's going to get a bit of count onto the...
Now this time he gets rid of a couple of them, so that was a decent result for New Zealand. They were holding 3 Australia, now just holding the 1. So he got rid of 2.
12-2 now, Australia leading after 9 of 15 ends. As we watch Aaron Tees play his first bowl, and it's going to be finished virtually jack level, half a metre away. And Gary Lawson indicating to Ali Forsyth, come on, swoop down here, see if we can get on the shot bowl, move the jack. And And as Brendan said before, the next game that we'll be bringing you is the Taylor Bruce Joe Edwards New Zealand combination in the women's pairs, and at this point in time we're not sure who they'll be up against, but they certainly will be our feature match, the third match of the day, and we will know at the end of this round who it is that they're up against in that semi-final. As Ellie Forsyth Bowl trying to get down towards just going to knock the Australian Bowl closer. Already through to the finals tomorrow, of course, is the men's pairs of Jamie Hill and Gary Lawson, and the men's triple side skipped by Ellie Forsyth with Andrew Kelly and Chris Leave. They are through to the final, which will be played here, of course, tomorrow at Broadbeach.
Yeah, and at the moment, Kevin, it's looking like it's only going to be 2 New Zealand combinations in semi-finals today. Certainly the expectation would have been that all New Zealand combination made it through to semi-finals. Andrew Kelly, very unfortunate to miss out in a high-calibre men's singles field, but he has missed out by just a couple of shots. Very unfortunate is Kelly in the men's singles, and the men's fours certainly looking like they're going to be missing out unless they can pull off a remarkable turnaround. Of course, already through the women's triples.
Got the gap.
Got the gap, and all he's knocked away is a New Zealand bowl. Unfortunate there, trying to knock away either the jack or the shot bowl, and found the gap, and another result that New Zealand was not after.
Well, disappointing as the New Zealand fours, to be fair, Brendan, and not being critical of them, but disappointing insofar as that they weren't able to put consistent games together, because they've certainly got the players, the capabilities, and yes, it's a very, very tough field here, but we've got to remember that we're going to be back here in May of next year, and these are the teams that we're going to be playing against.
Oh, you're going to be against these teams in just a section rather
Correct.
than the entire round robin. So, yeah, this is a great trial for those World Championships, and you're right, they can only be disappointed with how they've played. Only the 2 wins out of 6 games, and probably only going to be the 2 wins. As this time, Gary Lawson manages to knock out the shot, but still 1 remains from Australia. The second becomes the shot for Australia green, as Aaron Wilson quickly playing his last.
And we have to remember, Brendan, in this case, this event here, as far as the men are concerned, we haven't got England here, we haven't got Scotland, Wales, Malaysia. So there's still a number of the leading countries, the Northern Hemisphere countries, who will certainly be here in May. So yeah, we've got a lot of work to do. Here's Lawson on the drive, and he got it clean, and we'll finish up with 2 shots actually. With
those 2 Leave bowls should be the shot. So well executed by Gary Lawson, and maybe giving this New Zealand men's 4 a glimmer of hope as they score a couple on the 10th end of 15 and now make it 12-4. Australia green leading New Zealand.
Well, we know that Gary Lawson will, he's there right till the death, and he's such a tenacious player, and that's why, of course, in the areas he's even applauding now Chris Leave delivering the jack, trying to motivate to just stir the team up, get them firing. You don't win the titles that Gary Lawson has won and been such an outstanding player around the world unless you've got the tenacity and the mental hardness. And we saw that yesterday in that game against Ireland. 3 down, last bowl, got to play this to stay alive. We also saw it, of course, right here in front of us in the final of the pairs with Shannon McElroy against Australia when he drew that shot, with the game all locked up. So, things aren't going good today in this particular event, but we all know what Lawson's capable of doing. As we watch the Chris Leave bowl just break in behind the jack. Good opening bowl by the New Zealand lead.
Yeah, as we can see, Leave, the mat's pretty much all the way back, and the jack's almost as far as it can go. Just 3 or 4 inches from the tee.
It is. So we're right back to the old traditional, just ditch to ditch is termed. The mat right back, and the jack all but on the 2 metre mark. The green today running about 18 seconds, but it's There's also a bit of breeze as we watch Barry Lester. He can be equal to the task and sit inside the Crystal Leaf bowl. Yes, he does.
And it falls in as well. Great first up bowl from Barry Lester. And this is more what we expect from high calibre players on show. Firstly, the two leads, Lalive and Lester for New Zealand and Australia Green.
They've had a pretty good battle, to be fair, Brendan, haven't they? These two, they've been, they've been a bit bowl for bowl, and here's another bowl, good bowl coming here from Crystal Leaf. Is it going to hold up long enough to get to the jack? No, just falls short outside the centre line by about a couple of feet, but handy around the head with Barry Lester holding one. The Victorian about to become a Queenslander as he takes up the role here at Burleigh Heads as the bowls coordinator at Burleigh Heads. And with the weather that we're experiencing here at the moment, Brendan, you can see why people like coming here to play their bowls, don't they?
Well, it's a mecca of bowls, isn't it? The Gold Coast certainly is over this couple-year period, starting with the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. Then we had the Asia Pacific Championships earlier this year. We've got the Multi-Nations on now, to be followed by a couple of Trans-Tasmans, and then all culminating with the World Bowls Championships in May, June next year. And it's because of the ability to play year-round. As Jamie Hill plays a great one there, a toucher. And needed. New Zealand will still believe they're a chance here. 5 ends remaining,
Absolutely.
8 behind.
Absolutely. As we see this bowler, Corey Wedlocks, which is going to be under the line. It might actually tip Crystal Leaf's bowl over. No, it doesn't. So New Zealand holding the shot. And of course, also with the Trans-Tasman, we've got our development side, the men and women New Zealand development side are here. And for the first time for a number of years, the over 60s side. I don't know how the over 60s side feel about being out practicing all day today. I think some of them were quite keen to sort of, come and watch here and perhaps partake of a couple of cold ones. No doubt they'll be here shortly to enjoy the hospitality here at Broadbeach.
Well, it's a serious competition, the over 60s, and I know that the Australians will be taking it as such, and
yes.
New Zealand need to do likewise.
Very vibrant club here at Broadbeach, and a beautiful setting, park-like setting here, just alongside the beach at Broadbeach, at Broadbeach, and not far from the Broadbeach shopping area where there's a plethora of restaurants and cafes, and it's a real activity hub.
Yeah, of course, the host club of the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games. It will be the host of World Bowls as well, along with Club Helensvale and Musgrave Hill, which have hosted this tournament as well, and the Trans-Tasman to follow on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll be visiting all 3 clubs, one day at each.
So the Robbie, Ben and Alex, of course, have got another bit of work to do each day because a lot of gear's got to be moved, of course, doesn't it, for us to be at each one of these 3 venues as we watched. We're just trying to wedlock, just touching on the shot bolt. Jamie Hill's moved everything around fractionally, but still the shot to New Zealand as we trail 12-4 after 10 of 15 ends.
Yeah, it was a 6 a.m. start for the guys here to get everything set up, so I assume when you're having to go elsewhere, it's going to be even earlier, which is going to be a bit testing, but I suppose making the most of those daylight hours. Of course, 4:45 a.m.
Yeah, the birds are chirping and the sun's out.
Exactly, and people are out running. It's quite remarkable. You can go out for a run at 5:30, and the boardwalk will be absolutely packed.
So you've been doing the run along the beachfront, Brendan, have you? You're a very keen
I've done a few, yeah. Every second day I've been getting out there. Got up for a swim yesterday morning as well.
I had a swim the other morning, or lunchtime actually, and it's a wonderful place. And of course, Alex Reid here just joined the staff of Bowls New Zealand on his first trip away with doing the streaming work, and he's got some of the new digital platforms we're working on. He's got a bit to do, and so welcome, Alex. So New Zealand holding 1 as we see Aaron Wilson on the search for the bowl. He's going to run into the Ali Forsyth front bowl and the Crystal Leave one. New Zealand still hold one, trailing 12-4 as we play the 11th end.
Yeah, the door's been opened though now after that bowl. Certainly easier for Aaron Wilson, the Australian green skip, to now access that shot bowl or the jack.
So Lawson wanting to get another bowl on the head for sure. And 8 behind as we play 11. Ian, number 11, holding 1. And it's been a struggle. They haven't been big numbers. 2, 1, 1, 2, 2, 1s. They haven't dropped big bundles, but just 3 on the first end. They just haven't been able to get the heads together to get into scoring positions. And this bowler, Gary Lawson's, that's going to be narrow for sure. He'll be disappointed with that. Be very disappointed with that because that's a really didn't do anything at all, narrow. And so again we're going to see Aaron Wilson, the Australian skip, quickly into his work on the backhand, trying to get down to the shot bowl or the jack. Looking at it as it comes down towards the head, how much swing is he going to get? Or that feather that was always on, but has it gone back far enough to the Ali Forsyth bowl? No.
I think as it just fell in there, that bowl from Aaron Wilson will be the shot. Well executed, and that's what I was saying after that last bowl by Teaser. Opened the door for Aaron Wilson. He does not need a second invitation.
No,
a player of his calibre.
And of course it's a toucher, as we just saw as well. Aaron Tease give it the chalk touch. So Gary Lawson, not much he can do here just to try and get to that bowl of Wilson or to get to the jack, but
he's hung it out very wide and asked too much of it. The weight was decent, but just not quite the right line. And now Aaron Wilson has a chance to really put another nail in the New Zealand coffin, because it's at least 1, but he can make it 2 here. As the jack and Matt is back in Australia Green's favour, and Barry Lester marching it forward. And it's going to be a non-counter. So 1-2 Australia Green on the 11th of 15 ends. They now lead New Zealand 13-4. And I can let you know in the women's pairs round 7 match, Joe Edwards and Taylor Bruce are leading Karen Murphy and Alan Ryan 17-13. It's 17-13 after 15 of the 18 ends in the women's pairs. And Australia are up 13-9 in the men's 4s over Ireland. It's Australia yellow over Ireland, 13-9. And South Africa, I believe, is still leading Norfolk Island as well. So New Zealand, it's not looking good for the men's 4s. They need to somehow turn this around over the next 4 ends.
Well, we needed, actually, to be fair, Brendan, we needed to score again then on that 11th end. We needed to get a couple of scoring ends to give us a chance to claw our way back into the game, but not to be. And as you rightly said, the door was left ajar for Aaron Wilson to play that searching shot, which they play so well. As I watch now, Crystal Leave on the back end. First bowl of Barry Lester's gone by the jack by about 1 metre. Here's the Leave bowl now, breaking down towards the head. It's going to be under the line of the jack, that's for sure, and that's short as well. And I can't stress enough how important it is in playing a team like Australia. We saw it yesterday against Ireland. You just simply got to get your bowls in around the head or in behind. Short bowls, unfortunately, are they're just ineffective bowls, sadly. And I think one thing that we have seen, Brendan, that perhaps wasn't so evident to date in the Asia Pacific, is that the ability that the Australians have had continuously to convert heads over. In the Trans-Tasman, it wasn't quite so evident, but in the Asia Pacific, it wasn't quite so evident. But to date here, we saw it this morning as well in the women's triples with Natasha Scott, where she was able to convert Natasha on about 4 occasions, just converted big ends for Australia. And we're not doing that. We're not getting that into that position.
Well, the interesting thing is as well is that this is not necessarily the Australian 4 we're going to see come
Correct.
World Championships. You're going to have Aaron Sheriff will no doubt come into this and be the skip. Aaron Wilson may play singles.
Correct.
potentially as the Commonwealth Games champion. So,
and we all know what Aaron Sheriff can do, and you and I have seen him in action, and we certainly know he's one of the best weight control. Well, I've said I think he's the best weight control player in the world. Actually, him and Alex Marshall would more than likely be, I think, the two best weight control players, and Sheriff is outstanding.
Yeah, so a lot of thinking for this New Zealand men's four to do, not just for the remaining 3.5 ends of this, but after this, as they, of course, will look to try and get things sorted for the Trans-Tasman, and then looking ahead long term to the World Bowls Championships, May, June, back here on the Gold Coast next year.
Well, no doubt. A lot of work for the selectors to do over the next couple of months. Of course, we've got the Somerset Nationals in Christchurch, pairs and singles, starting on January the 2nd, a very important event as we watch Jamie Hill get a bit of a feather.
Yeah, a bit of fortune there for Jamie Hill coming off that front bowl, and that should be the shot.
And most of the New Zealand team are back. I can tell you that Joe Edwards is certainly back. Val Smith, the defending champion. Ali Forsyth's back. He's playing with Gary Lawson. Crystal Eve, he's playing with Jimmy Pugh. So most of those players in contention are back. And that'll be no doubt seen as a trial as well by the New Zealand selectors as we watch this bowl of Jamie Hill. He's going to get a touch on the jack, but it'll go the wrong way for sure.
Yeah, unfortunate there, Jamie Hill. That was actually a better bowl than his first, but it worked out worse. Got that touch on the jack and just directed it towards that Australia green bowl.
See, now is it? What's the bowl of Australian bowl? Just dropped past the head and definitely won. But a chance here for New Zealand to score a couple if they can get onto one of these bowls. But it's about making these big shots count. Ali Forsyth.
Is he going to try and run at that shot bowl?
Well, I thought that would. He's playing with weight to certainly reach there, Brendan, isn't he? But is he going to get the jack? And if he gets the jack in the back end of it like that, it just makes it
even harder. Well, I thought he would have played a lot more weight and just knocked. It was a big target, that Australia bowl. It was far enough away from the jack. Could have got it clean, knocked it away. Maybe sat there, would have been 3 for New Zealand. Instead, now it's very difficult.
Well, the jack wouldn't have certainly gone there if he played it with weight. And that's where you leave yourself vulnerable. And we did have a Crystal Eve bowl back here as well. So, and the Jamie Hill two over there, I just thought it would have been attacking it with more weight. It was virtually just draw weight, and of course in doing so, got to just move the jack in behind the Australian bowl. And they now control the head quite safely, actually. The only chance, of course, now is to play with weight down underneath the line to try and get to the bowl. But there's every chance, of course, the jack would move as well.
I think he might be driving here, Ali Forsyth, because they've got to do something.
He's on the full charge here.
Here it comes from Ali Forsyth, trying to knock away the shot bowl. Well, he knocked away the short stuff and both of the New Zealand Jamie Hill bowls. So now it's Australia holding at least 2. As we see a replay of this coming in from Ali Forsyth, a full-on drive. Unfortunately, was just inside the line, knocked away the front one, took away that one Australian bowl and the 2 Jamie Hill bowls. So now Australia
3 shots,
holding at least 3, isn't it? Yeah, well, 3 definitely. And skips again. Gary Lawson goes to the mat, and he doesn't have much to work with.
No, just nothing to work to at all, Brendan. It's just, at this stage, I suppose you start looking at the scoreboards and saying, well, what do we do? Kill it? Well, it goes on the spot anyway. And as Brendan rightly said, South Africa, of course, leading Norfolk Island, and Ireland were behind against Australia in the other game over there, which those are the 3 games. Everything came into the equation, but New Zealand, they're not really in that equation now as we play the 12th end, 3 down, and this again is going to hang on I don't. Look, Gary Lawson, we get exceptionally frustrated to understand that, Brendan, but virtually every bowl that he's played coming in this way has been on that wide line most of the game.
Yeah, it's nowhere near the target, was it?
No, and it's been happening pretty constantly. And you know, that New Zealand Fours team, they just need to regather, because Monday morning we start, and the pressure that we've been playing under here doesn't go away. It's still there for the next 3 days after that.
If anything, it rises, because it is not Australia A and B merged. It is just Australia A, you know. So you're getting the very best of Australia rather than a mix and match of their best two groups of players.
And I think we see the swap over, don't we, that Aaron Sheriff comes to here and Aaron Wilson plays the singles. I think that's...
I believe so, yes. Yeah, I have to check that. But, yeah, we're going to see Aaron Sheriff added to a really very strong combination. So, seems to be 3. Certainly those 2. And he might just do a measure here to see if that wing bowl, Crystal Leave bowl, is closer than this back yellow bowl, which is right on the centre line. Certainly from our camera angle, it certainly looks like the Australian bowl, but
certainly does on the monitor, doesn't it?
But it could be different, and certainly if it's enough for a measure, it must be a lot closer down there. But no, it is that Australian bowl. So it is 3 more to Australia, and in command here, 16-4. They now lead after 12 of the 15 ends. 7th final round. The men's fours at the Multi-Nations, a match New Zealand really had to win to sneak through to the semi-finals, and hope some other results went their way as well. Well, that other result that they were needing was Australia yellow to beat Ireland. That's happening at the moment. But the other one, South Africa, Norfolk Island, they did not need South Africa to be beating Norfolk Island at the moment. They're 17-6 up, South Africa. So looking like South Africa will be the 4th and final semi-finalist in the men's fours to join the 2 Australian teams and Malta.
And of course, the South Africans started this game with quite a significant minus differential as well, didn't they? So just goes to show 2 losses, and you know everything changes. But for the New Zealand side, let's have a bit of a think, boys, back to the drawing board, because you and I both know, Brendan, that they're better than this, and they know that as well. And I'm sure that between Peter Bellis and the other people with the side, they'll have them ready for Monday. And we've got 2 finals tomorrow, and they'll be. We saw I thought the Ali Forsyth side the other day, they beat Australia and they beat in that semi-final. I thought they played outstanding in that game actually against Aaron Sheriff. They beat. So just get the confidence back up again. So Lester has played his first on the 13th end, and he's sat just alongside the jack. And for Crystal Leave, as an example of this, is welcome to international bowls, because this is it's the hot spot.
Yeah, it certainly is. What a way to start your international career, with facing the very best of Australia, both Australian teams, and 2 brilliant bowls from Barry Lester. Look at that, another touch shot from the Australia green lead as they look to close this one out in style.
Well, they're certainly putting it all together, aren't they? They're just playing outstanding bowls, and when they are down, they've got the ability with Wedlock, Tees, and of course Wilson, that they'll just change things around. They'll move the jack around, and of course New Zealand here, Crystal Leaf, 2 short bowls and 2 stunning bowls from Barry Lester, and New Zealand straight away on the back foot.
And trying to add to the pressure, Corey Wedlock, who's pretty much gone straight to the tee. So anything is moved. That's a very handy position to be in.
It's right on the tee, isn't it?
Now Jamie Hill with his first.
I hear a lot of applause behind me for Malta. So yeah.
Well, they've got a big contingent of fans here. Malta, they've been very vocal throughout these multi-nations, and they've had some pretty good performances. Obviously, the highlight the last few days has been the men's fours through to the semi-finals. It's pretty much all Australian players with Maltese origin, and they've done very well. They beat one of the Australian sides. They beat New Zealand as well. So it's been a great few days for Malta. There's no doubt about that.
Of course, they're managed by one of the greats of Australian bowls, Rex Johnson, who played, I'd hate to guess how many, wouldn't try and guess how many tests that Rex Johnson played for Australia. I remember him playing the Commonwealth Games in Auckland in 1990 when he skipped the fours with my good friend Dennis Dalton on the side. And of course, Rex was as well when the Commonwealth Games in Delhi. Rex was the selector, coach, manager, the Steve Glasson, in fact, of the Australian team at that time. And now Rex is with the Malta side. So they've got one of the best going round looking after them. And that's been highlighted in their performance to date. So again, New Zealand down on the head. Ellie Forsyth trying to play up to the Barry Lester bowls to get a touch on the front bowl to move the jack. He moves the second one, but these are one of these games, Brendan, where you would ideally just like to shake hands and get off the green.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's one that certainly the New Zealanders will want to forget. They'll be playing, well, at the moment, looks like they'll be playing Ireland for 5th and 6th.
Because they play that game tomorrow, of course, don't they?
Yeah, so there's a potential. We could be bringing that one to you tomorrow, depending on how things match up. As Australia looking to close this one out in style here. It's the third to last end. As playing with weight, it's Ali Forsyth looking to clean out everything. Look at that, and that's worked out perfectly.
2 shots.
Yeah, if you play with weight, this is what you can do. Things can turn out well for you. So ran into the short bowls of New Zealand, as you see the replay here. So all those bowls are New Zealand bowls there. Gets a glance off 1, 2, 3, and then off the Australia shot bowl and sits just behind the jack. And now that's New Zealand holding 1, perhaps 2.
Well, the Forsyth bowl, amazingly, with a drive, finished up about 15 inches behind the jack, which is quite remarkable when he let that go at full flight. And there it is now, just at the actual shot itself, sitting just in behind the jack as we watch Aaron Wilson. Very few short bowls he plays, but he's played one there. And I would say New Zealand be laying 2 as Gary Lawson. Well, this time he hasn't gone out as wide, so we might have a chance of getting into the head here and counting. So it breaks down towards the head now. He doesn't want to move the jack too far with that weight. He doesn't. So Aaron Wilson playing his last bowl, just going to touch and go past. So New Zealand will score on this, the 13th end of 15.
And can Gary Lawson add to the count here? They started it out wide. Looks on a decent track as it's making its way to the jack, and that should be the shots. So it'll be 2 to New Zealand, at least. And it is 2. So New Zealand pick up another couple. And after 13 of the 15 ends, it is Australia Green 16, New Zealand 6.
Chris Leave, the New Zealand lead. He'll deliver the jack, I would imagine, to a full-length head. And he has delivered it right down towards the 2-metre mark. And Chris Leave playing down towards north-south. Leave, his debut series for New Zealand. Cap number 112.
Can let you know, Kevin, as well, after 17 of the 18 ends. In fact, I think we must be finished. I believe, well, after 17 of 18, New Zealand was leading by 2. We'll have to wait confirmation to see whether the New Zealand women's pair has taken it out over Ellen Ryan and Karen Murphy. That's the New Zealand pairing of Taylor Bruce and Joe Edwards. And see if they've managed to make it a perfect 7 from 7 in round robin, heading into this afternoon semi-final. Of course, we will have the semi-final for you. And currently in action, a couple of games still in progress. Australia look like they beat Ireland in one of the other matches. So it should be confirmed who New Zealand will be playing. Once the scores are all confirmed, we'll bring that for you. And of course, we will have commentary of that New Zealand women's pairs semi-final.
So Crystal Leave bowl, there's a shot bowl, sits jack level, good opening bowl from the Leave, and playing down towards us here in the commentary position on the backhand. It's on its way. He's trying to coax this bowl, not to go narrow, but it's going to come up narrow and short. And missing that line by a bit. But definitely holding the shot. Barry Lester, he's been pretty impressive in this game as the Australian lead. Very, very consistent player. Long been playing for Australia now for a number of years. So here we see the Wilson's second bowl on this, the 14 of 15 ends. It's on its way. Also on that backhand side, New Zealand holding one but trailing by 16 to 6. And Barry Lester is just going to go past, or we might even draw the shot round the back. No, he won't. So it's New Zealand holding the one. Crystal Leaf bolt sitting jack level. It's a shot. So first bowl here of Jamie Hills. And it looks as though it's going to stay out on that wide side. Coming back now, but will it come back far enough? Yes, it is. That'll be 2, sitting virtually jack level. They need a miracle, as Brendan and I have spoken about, especially in light of the other results.
Well, 18-16 is the best they can hope for. 6 shots on the last 2 ends, so that is a near miracle, especially with how this is set up so far, with short bowl of Lalive there.
Correct.
It's going to be very difficult to turn that into a shot, especially where there's an Australian bowl locked in between a Lalive and
this bowl of Jamie Hills, just, it's just narrow and short. So here we have now Corey Wedlock, the number 2 for Australia. This 2 is going to be narrow as well. So great chance here for Ali Forsyth to draw something close. So Forsyth on his forehand with the blue bowls. 400 caps for New Zealand. That's definitely going to hang out on the wide side. And as Brenton has said earlier on, and I agree with him, this is a game that the New Zealand side have just got to put it in the old box and say it's one that we forget about for sure, because it's certainly been less than convincing.
Well, especially when all of these 4 are going to be involved in finals tomorrow, with Lawson involved in the men's pairs final along with Jamie Hill, and then you've got Forsyth and the Leave playing in the men's triples final as well, along with Andrew Kelly. So they've got to quickly forget about the 4s, even though they will have a match for 5th and 6th. They'll be really thinking about their other disciplines, and then also looking ahead to Monday and the Trans-Tasman.
Well, Alex has been trying to find out for me. It's more than likely at least 10 years since New Zealand have won the men's Trans-Tasman. It's a long time ago. The women, not so. They in fact have been pretty good actually. The women over the last few years, but it's at least 10 years one would think since the men have actually won the Trans-Tasman. So let's hope, Brenton, that we can bring a coverage which sees our men break that drought. And
well, I suppose judging on this, they've got quite a lot of work to do.
Yes.
Both of the men's disciplines on the second half of this multi-nations, unable to make it through to the semi-finals. Andrew Kelly falling agonisingly short of the top 4 in the men's singles, despite winning 4 of his 7 matches. And the New Zealand men's 4, which are bringing to you here, on track to fall to their 4th defeat from 7. Only 2 wins to their name through 7 rounds, and it's certainly well below expectations, and very few would have thought they'd be playing off for 5th and 6th at these multi-nations.
Well, I'll put my hand up straight away, Brenton, I visualised them making their way through to the final. It was a good enough team, good enough combination, enough experience in it. Certainly Mike Kernahan is not there at this time, who was here for the Asia Pacific, but that aside, we just simply played. The performance has been substandard, simple as that.
Yeah, as we go through the motions to some respect here, Australia Green, there's no way they're giving up a 10-shot lead. Just 2 ends to be completed. Approaching the end now of the 14th. It's been a bit of a messy end, really, from both sides.
There's sort of clothesline stuff out there, isn't it? There's big gaps.
As Aaron Wilson was well short with his first. Now, Gary Lawson with his second.
And this is terribly narrow. If you look at this bowl here, that's virtually, you could say, a yard off the draw line, and it's 2 metres short. And that's just not Gary Lawson.
He was trying to come around that front bowl to the right there, the Wedlock bowl, pretty much through the gap which Aaron Wilson's going to try and come through here. This is what Gary Lawson was trying to do, and you can see he was well off the mark. But even Wilson, as he's going to sneak around that bowl, no, he's not as well. So he was a touch narrow, but nowhere near as narrow as Gary Wilson. So I think that should be 2 more to New Zealand. So that makes it 16-8 now after 14 of the 15 ends. So now playing the last. New Zealand back in control of the mat. But unfortunately for the New Zealand men's 4, they can't win. 6 is the most they can score on this final end. And they trail by 8. So they'll be playing off for the minor placings. They will not be involved in the semi-finals, because on the adjoining rink, South Africa are leading Norfolk Island 20-6, so they'll leap above both New Zealand and Ireland, who are involved in a relatively close tussle with Australia Yellow, and the match the other rink alongside New Zealand. So New Zealand
Australia
will be
were
falling
ahead,
to 6th.
I believe. Were they not, Brenton, in that Australia-Ireland game? They were a few ahead, weren't they?
They were, but it tightened up before. I can see Australia's score was 15. Can't see Ireland's at the moment. But certainly looking, anyway, it's regardless really what that result is, New Zealand will not be making the semi-finals after this one in front of us.
So, they're underway. Jack's been delivered, and Crystal Leaves played his first bowl. He's about 1.5 metres behind the Jack. As Barry Lester now equal to the task, as he's been right throughout this game. Just draws in behind the Jack, about 18 inches in behind. And we watch now Crystal Leaves play his last bowl on the 15th, and this will be his last bowl in the 4s, that's for sure. It's on a pretty good line as it breaks down towards the head. Is it going to sit on the Leicester bowl? Just sits and feathers and falls out. It's about 1 metre in behind. Definitely Barry Leicester holding the shot.
Yeah, 15-12 it is, Australia Yellow over Ireland.
15-12.
So Ireland still an opportunity to get through the semi-finals if they can come out on top there over the closing ends, they would pip South Africa for 4th spot. But it won't be New Zealand.
So it looks like it'll be the 2 Australian sides, Malta, and either South Africa or Ireland will be the 4 that make their way through in the men's 4s. And we were trying to find, Brenton might have found out the Joe Edwards match against Karen Murphy. They were pretty close going. New Zealand were in front by 2 going into the last end. And we'll check whether they won that or not. And of course, we'll have out here shortly, and we'll keep you updated with that score, as the Australian New Zealand triple side, the women's triple side of Selena Goddard, Val Smith, and Caitlin Inch. They'll be up against Australia, and I believe that'll be the same Australian side of which they played this morning and got defeated by that Australian side. So I believe that's who the New Zealand side will be playing. So we will have out in front of us here the women's pairs and women's triples semi-finals. And we'll be bringing you the Joe Edwards Taylor Bruce game. That'll be the game that we'll commentate on. But we'll certainly keep you up to date of the score of the triples match as well. And at this stage, in this last end, it's Australia holding 1 shot. The bowl right in behind. As we watched, Corey Wedlock just fell out. So Jamie Hill, holding the shot. New Zealand trailing 16-8 as we play the 15th end. 16-8. As we watch now, Ali Forsyth playing his first bowl, the last end. And that's breaking down. That's under the line again. That's under the head. So it'll still be New Zealand holding. And I'm sure Australia will be endeavouring to rest up on that bolt. They will still be trying to score for sure. It's on its way. The Corey Wedlock second bowl. Trying to get down to the Jamie Hill bowl. Is it going to have the weight to get all the way? And look at this superb bowl here from the Australian number 3.
Just falls out, but still favour that is the shot bowl from Aaron Tees. And now forced to try and respond, Ali Forsyth.
Well, again, I'm surprised at the hand that he's playing, actually, because one would think, Brendan, the chances under with weight down the other side, because you're just playing at a 1 bowl target, which is very, very difficult. And virtually none of the conversion, the shot that Gary Lawson played when the jack was in the ditch, and he made 2 of it, is about the only conversion shot I think that we've been successful with in this whole game.
Yeah, certainly back end of Aaron Tees and Aaron Wilson, I said it earlier, has been outplaying Ali Forsyth and Gary Lawson throughout this contest. 8 shots, very much a deserved lead. They have really dictated the play. Set up well by Barry Lester and Corey Wedlock as well. But Tees and Wilson in a class above for Australia Green, who will be marching on to the semi-finals, while New Zealand will be playing off for 5th and 6th tomorrow.
So here's Lawson trying to get down to these counting bowls, and he just, in fact, turned the Australian bowl over. And
yeah, now Tees saying try and come through around the gap on that forehand side, Mr. Wilson, please. See if you can sit on that Jamie Hill bowl, the white bowl, which is just alongside that Wedlock bowl. And this is a great effort.
This is great. This is close. And it sits clean on top of the bowl, locks him behind it. Now, all Lawson can do is drive that and try and, well, even then we haven't got the spot. But what a magnificent bowl by the Australian skippers. We see Gary Lawson playing with weight, reaching up to those counting Australian bowls, getting to the front bowl, gets the front bowl, gets the jack, and it just rolls in and around. And that'll be 2,
Yeah, I think he's reduced the count by 1. But I think it's still 2 to Australia there. It's all very close with those bowls. But
they are close, all locked around the jack.
Yeah, shake hands time here as Aaron Wilson bowls his lasts. See if it's a counter as well. The Aussies are actually interested. So shaking hands before the final bowl had actually come home. And it's just going to go past the head as well. But I believe that is another 2 to the Australia Green. So they have run out 18-8 winners here in the men's fours final. Convincing. And what it means is that Australia Green, they march on to the semi-finals to be played next year at the Broadbeach Bowls Club, while the New Zealand men's 4, they'll go back and have a long think before they return to action in their 5th, 6th playoff, and then all 4 of them will be involved in their own matches in the men's pairs and men's triples semi-finals. We just saw Aaron Tees left hanging by Aaron Wilson for about 30 seconds before eventually giving up there. As that is it for us here, so I'll leave it over to Kevin Hicklin. I'll make my way and we'll hopefully be joined by one of the Blackjacks to explain what was a very disappointing result for the New Zealand men's 4.
Yeah, thank you, Brendan. And as you rightly said, it was really a one-way traffic game. Australia scored a 3 on the very first end. And, of course, we look at the whole 15 ends. Australia scored on 10 of the 15 ends. New Zealand just simply weren't able. We were reasonably matched at the front end of the game. But at the back end of the game, Aaron Tees and the skip, Aaron Wilson, were just absolutely outstanding. And the New Zealand side could just not get into their game. They couldn't build heads. They couldn't convert. We had one good shot played by Gary Lawson, went down in the jack in the ditch and managed to convert it into 2 up. But all in all, it was a one-way traffic. And the Australia Green side, the well-deserved winners for sure, because New Zealand were outclassed from right throughout the whole game. And for the New Zealand Fours team, a lot of thinking needs to be done now, as of course they have to play again tomorrow morning. And, of course, they've got the finals as well. So, disappointing end to our fours, but we'll bring you shortly. My apologies. We'll have the women's pairs shortly. We'll be bringing that live to you. That's Taylor Bruce and Joe Edwards. And shortly we'll have Brendan Van Nistelrooy speaking with Gary Lawson.
Well, I'm now joined by the skip of the men's 4, Gary Lawson. Gary coming nice and close. And Gary, I suppose firstly, what went wrong with that performance there against Australia Green?
Oh, they played really well. And Aaron Wilson played a couple of bombs at the start, and I didn't probably turn over enough at the start, and they got away on us. And after that, they just played with a lot of skill, a lot of confidence, and we were just under the pump really. But they, to be fair, they just outplayed us from 1 to 4 really.
Yeah, and I suppose in summary, it wasn't really about that result, was it? It was others that probably cost you making the semi-finals.
Oh, of course, we made it difficult for ourselves on day one, but at the end of the day, we had our opportunity. If we win that game, we get through, and we just weren't good enough. They, as I say, Aaron, he turned a few heads over at the start, and I missed a couple just by not much, and in the end set the tone for the match. But it gives us, at least we know where we're at. We're a long way from where we need to be for the Trans-Tassie. So, it's disappointing, but life goes on, doesn't it?
Yeah. What do you do for that 5th, 6th playoff? I suppose a game no one really wants to play ahead of the Trans-Tasman now on Monday.
Oh, it's probably a game where we need to probably just work out what length we want to play against Australia on, starting on Monday, and see if we can get consistency and just work out a game plan really, because we probably haven't really settled on a length that we want to play, and we just probably because we've been battling so much, but we're probably a bit of soul searching, but there's a lot of work to do, but we can't. We just got to keep our chins up and just try and fight, work a bit harder, and see. I think these games are 4, 15 ends. It's all about how good you start, and we got away to a poor start. But I mean, if you start well, you're in the battle for the whole game. But we just it's pretty hard to catch up. A 15 end game when you get a long way behind. But so it's probably more about how we start. We probably pulled the jack up in the first end. It's probably not something I'd do normally, and so we'll have a chat about that. I think, it's not a good way to start and drop a 3. They got the last bowl, but just little tiny things like that we can probably improve on.
And just finally, you've got the men's pairs final tomorrow. Something to look forward to.
Well, that will help us get over this one. So obviously playing Besta is always a great challenge, and I've had some really good contests with him in the last 6 months. So he'll be out to beat me, but I'll be out to get him. But Jamie, good opportunity for him to draw some shots, and I'm really looking forward. It'll be a good occasion. Another final will be something worth waking up for.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Gary Lawson, skip of the men's 4, and that is to come tomorrow. But today, still plenty of action coming up in around half an hour's time. We have the women's pairs semi-final. Joe Edwards and Taylor Bruce in action. Make sure you're back with us in around half an hour's time for that one here from the Broadbeach Bowls Club.
Yes, we're clear.